Hey guys, my name is Raja Mizan and I'm a senior lecturer in accounting and finance in a UK university. I'm also a chartered certified accountant and run my own accountancy firm in the UK. Financial analysis of a company is a common coursework topic in the UK universities accounting and finance programs, and the most common technique which is used to carry out financial analysis of a company is ratio analysis. I myself use a ratio analysis as a coursework topic in my modules. So I mark hundreds of courseworks every year on this topic. Some of those are really good and some of those are not so good. In this video, I will be highlighting the 7 features of a ratio analysis which would make your analysis of A grade or distinction worthy. The first feature of your analysis should be the definition and the formula of a ratio. So whichever ratio you're doing, you should pick up the formula and the definition of that ratio from a book which is published in the UK, and preferably which is well known. Using a ratio from one book all the time would not be a good idea. It would be a good idea to grab few books and then pick the ratios, definition and formula from those books. So you should give some variety in your references. I have made another video on how to reference your coursework. The link for that will be given in the comment section, so please check that out. Try to use the same formula which your lecturer has given you. So try to stick to that book which your lecturer is using. This will ensure that you are following your lecturer guidelines. However, there's no certain restriction on using a specific ratio formula for your coursework, as long as you're applying the same formula consistently for the different companies you are analyzing. Or if you're only analyzing one company, then it is not an issue. But most of the coursework actually requires you to analyze more than one company, or at least you'll have to do a competitor or industry ratio as well. So as long as you're using the same formula, this should not be a problem. So when you start writing your ratio analysis, you should start with the definition of the ratio and the formula, and both of these things need to be sourced properly. You should also you should also write to display that you actually understand the meaning of that definition and ratio. So for example, if you are doing a net profit ratio, you should say that this ratio would tell us a percentage profit margin of a company, which is which is a profit figure after all of their expenses. Second feature of your ratio analysis is the most critical one. Without that, you cannot carry out a ratio analysis, and that is data collection and analysis of the raw data. So both relevant to the data. I personally recommend using annual reports to extract the data for the figures. So for example, if you're calculating a gross profit ratio, you can find the gross profit figure from the income statement. Sometimes it is not given in the income statement directly, so you have to look into the notes to the accounts to find the figure for gross profit. And then sales figure is also given in the income statement, so you should do that. Although this data is also available on data banks, for example Bloomberg, but personally I do recommend that you do take the figures from the financial statements which are given in the annual reports of the company. So that is data collection or data extraction from the financial statement. Now it is critical for your coursework that if you extract a piece of data from a specific page of the annual report, you should include that page, not only that page, on the in the appendix for your coursework, because that's how the business reports work. You need to give the source of the source page of the data, because when your marker is or your course leader is marking your work, and for example you have used the 3 million figure for a gross profit ratio, your course leader or the marker would want to confirm if you have picked the right figure from the annual report. So it is important to give the relevant pages of the annual reports of the financial statements in the appendix to the work. Maybe you could actually circle or highlight those pages as well. Now we understand that we have extracted or located the data to carry out a ratio analysis. However, uh, analysis of the raw data can also help you to understand the results of the ratios. So for example, you collect three pieces of information to calculate your ROCE, return on capital employed, and that would be operating profit, share capital and reserves, and long-term liabilities. It would be a good idea to actually use a table and give the figures for 3 years or 5 years, whatever your time frame is. It should be at least 3 years, or you can't really make a meaningful conclusion of the findings of your analysis. So a longer time period is preferable for your ratio analysis. One thing you must not do is say that sales for 2018 was this, and then sales for 2019 was this. So never describe the data, present the data and the table, and that is sufficient. What you should discuss, what you should do in the paragraphs, may be the analysis of the data. Now analysis of the data would mean that you would work out, or you would explain the trend in the data. If the data is consistently uh, increasing or consistently decreasing, that's what you can talk about. You can always calculate the percentage increase or decrease in the data. Sometimes you will see a certain spike or drop in the data. Highlight that, because if there's a certain spike or drop in the data, then that is going to have an impact on your ratio results as well. And then this analysis is going to help you to um, to analyze the results of your ratio analysis. The third feature of a good comprehensive ratio analysis would be the calculation of the ratio, which is an obvious one and obviously the necessary one. You will carry out the ratio analysis, the calculation of the ratio, by taking the formula from step 1 and then data from step 2. Now, it is critical, if your coursework requires you to calculate the ratio, you show the formula either in the body of the report or either in appendix. You show the data, all of the data. For example, if you're calculating return on capital employed, you give the three variables for the formula. And I would say that give it in the appendix. Do not give the raw data in the body of the report. What you must show in your body of the report is the final result of your ratio. It is critical that you show the actual calculations in your coursework, in your appendix, as I'm showing you on the screen. Once you calculate the ratios, the final results should be given in the main body of the report. And then when you're writing, when you're explaining it, you should discuss the results. It may not be necessary to discuss the results of every single year, because that could make your ratio analysis too lengthy. The fourth key feature of the ratio analysis is graphical presentation of the data or the results. Graphical presentation is a key feature of any business reports. If you look at the business reports, if you look at the annual reports of the companies which you are analyzing, you will see that those reports are full of graphical presentations. There are tables, there are charts, some figures have been highlighted, and you should adapt from those annual reports and create a report a coursework which looks like that as well, because you need to show in your coursework that you have understood the key features of business reporting, which you would be actually producing when you go to work. So that is an important element. Now, the graphical presentation means you have highlights given in different graphics, uh, and but there are two major things which you must do. Number one is tables, and these tables should, within the body of the report, should present the results of your ratio for all the years, so it's easy to compare. Present it in a table and then in a graph, which is so sometimes a line graph or a bar graph. It's very helpful in displaying data. When it comes to data, a picture is worth 1,000 words. It not only helps you get good marks in presentation of your work, but it also gives you good mark in analysis, because it helps. Graphs and tables help you to analyze the data. You can keep referring to the graph, you can keep referring to the table, and that is another very important key feature. Um, you may not get a distinction without graphical presentation. To be honest, all these 7 features that needs to be present to get a distinction or A grade in your coursework. The fifth feature of a comprehensive ratio analysis is interpretation of the results. So now you need to start writing. And the first thing which you should do, the writing part, apart from definition, is the interpretation of your results. That means if your results are increasing, you actually show that you understand that increasing of a profitability ratio is actually a good sign, or increasing of liquidity is a good sign. Receivable days have increased. This means that the performance of credit control department is decreasing. So you need to show that you understand the results, what they mean, if they're good or if they are bad. So that is your starting point when you're writing your results. Now, if you do these bits, if you follow these 5 steps, the chances are you are at a point where you should be able to pass. But pass is just not what we are looking for. We actually want to do more. So this takes us to our step number 6. Now, step number 6 is comparison of the results. Now, this comparison of result is twofold. One of the problem with the ratio analysis, and I have discussed the drawbacks of ratio analysis in another video, a link for which you should be able to see in the comment section, is one of the major drawback of the ratio analysis is that ratio on its own doesn't give us any meaning. It needs to be compared with another result. Could be from the previous year's results of the same ratio, or the result of a competitor or industry averages. So you should have a good ratio analysis would include both aspects of this comparison. So that's why you carry out 3 years or 5 years analysis or 4 years analysis, depending on your time frame. If you carry out return on capital employed ratio for 2017, 18, 19, this will give you a meaning. And if the performance is increasing or decreasing, that will give you some meaning, some context of your current year results. However, if you calculate ratios of competitors, now there are websites which give you industry averages. Sometimes you can just Google and you will find the industry averages are in average profitability ratio or average net profit ratio in a textile sector, or in retail sector, or a food sector. So you can use those figures for the comparison. It is always available, but it's because of the time limitations students have when they're doing their research. sometimes they're unable to locate those figures. In that case, the easy option would be to calculate the ratio for a competitor, or just search the ratio for the competitor. So for example, if you're doing Marks and Spencer, you can always look at the ratio of John Lewis. So this comparison can help you to to work out if the company is performing better than the others or not. One very important thing which help us to understand, so let's say you calculate a ratio of profitability for a company, Marks and Spencer, and that has decreased from 1.67 to 0.6% from 2017, 18, and 19. Now it has decreased, so we can say the performance of this company has decreased, and there is a significant drop in the profitability. However, when you look at the ratio of another similar business, for example, Debenhams, there, let's say, I don't have the figures with me, so I'm just assuming that, let's say that Debenhams ratios are actually have decreased even further. So the percentage drop in the industry is actually greater than Marks and Spencer. This would indicate that Marks and Spencer is actually, although they're performing bad, but they're performing better than the sector. So that is a very important piece of information which we have gathered. If you have completed 6 features, the chances are that you are in the merit range. Yes, you should be able to get a 60% or between 60 to 70% marks in your coursework. The seventh feature of a comprehensive ratio analysis is the synthesis of all of the steps which we have taken so far. There is no formula to write this part. You will get a distinction if you actually do it well. You have carried out 6 steps. You have done the calculations, you have done some comparison, and at this point you should have some questions in your head that why things are the way they are. What decisions were taken in the past which has resulted in these results, and then what decisions could be taken in the future to improve the performance in the area you're looking into. What recommendations you can recommend to increase the performance in that area. So for example, if inventory days have increased significantly, it is, if it's taking a business much longer to sell their inventory, what could they do to increase this ratio? So you should look at some other literature. So here at this point, you should be doing some more research. You should be looking at published articles which have talked about how to increase operating cash cycle, for example, how to increase the performance in different ratios. So there's literature available. You should cite some references. You should quote somebody maybe to increase this work. While completing this area, you should always think about PESTLE, and that is political, economical, social, legal, technological, and environmental factor. This part should constitute at least 50% of your work, of your written words, because that what would show that you've done a good research and good synthesis of all of the information. If you include all of these 7 features in your ratio analysis, you will have a very comprehensive analysis. However, there's a problem. And the catch is that if you follow all of these 7 steps, your ratio analysis is going to be too long. So what you need to do is, out of these 7 steps, you have to make some sacrifices sometimes. If your word count allows doing everything, then you should keep everything. But then if it's too long, then, and the chances are that if you're doing around 15 ratios and you carry out all of these 7 steps, you're talking about 4,000 to 5,000 words. So at this stage, you need to think that, okay, what needs to go in the main body of the work and what needs to go in the appendix. But there are so many other things which you can do to actually make your work more concise. So I have made another video on this topic on how you can summarize your work. But at the start, you should follow all of these 7 steps so that you have covered everything. And when you have written more than what you need, then you can always get rid of the less important things in your analysis. I am confident that if you all follow all of these 7 features in your coursework, you should be able to get a 70. But there are actually some steps which could push your marks a bit further higher, and for that you need to watch my video on how to finalize your ratio analysis. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found this helpful. If you do, then please give it a thumb up, share with your friends, and subscribe to my channel to watch more videos which I will be recording in future.